Hey family, Mr. Frederick coming right back at you. All right, guys. So, to piggyback off of the generational curse breakers, generational curse breakers, one big part of that you need to understand is you have to grasp the understanding of freedom and independence. You see, a lot of times families, growing up in certain types of families, will stagnate your growth. Being as though what will happen is if you are family oriented, a lot of people are, you tend to take on the characteristics of that family, and that stagnates your growth. Because if that's a family that operates under a lot of curses of addiction, poverty, education, curses of all of these types of things, just judgment, things of that nature, a lot of shame, a lot of blame, a lot of those negative vibrational tendencies, what you'll find is you will take on that, even though you're not of that. So you have to divorce yourself from these dependencies. You have to divorce yourself from these curses. These things become generational, and a big part of that is understanding your way. It's just like I touched on it a little bit on the learning process. A lot of times when you are coming up young, and if you're in a dysfunctional, toxic type family, it's going to be difficult. The more sensitive, the more aware you are to operate, especially in the school system, under those conditions. It's very difficult for any child, and a lot of these things are swept under the rug. A lot of these things aren't brought out to the surface, to the open, and that can stunt you when you're in a traditional system of education. You're very intelligent, more intelligent than the rest of them. But the thing is that the way your mind works, you have to learn that, and a lot of people don't understand this. That's why it's key. If you are autodidact, you learn in certain kind of ways. You have gifts and talents. Depending on the type of situation you come up in, it's going to be more difficult to identify that. So get your children tested for certain educational systems, like to see how they learn, what's the best way that they learn. And actually, you, like I said, your mind being a certain way can be more advanced than the average mind, and you have to get tested for gifted and talented things of that nature. This is important for children. It But of course, if you're in a toxic, dysfunctional family, they're going to try to keep you from seeing as many professionals as possible. It's a lot of secrets they sweep up on the rug. They don't want school officials to talk to their kid. It's a long rabbit hole. I'll make a video about that stuff later on. But you really need to understand that your freedom is key, and how you operate, how you identify with yourself, your freedom and movement, understanding. Just to give you an example too of learning, one thing you might find is you have a way of learning that benefits you. When the human brain is really dissected and you understand how people learn, a lot of people might have not necessarily ADHD or anything like that, but what it is they need an extra stimulation. So you'll see, okay, well, you get bored if you're just concentrating on one subject, one topic. You get bored. But if you mix that in with, say, music, or say you mix that in with, say, athletics, some kind of way, you break it up and you come back to it, you're actually more potent than the average mind. You actually think on a higher level, but you just need a break from staying in that one type of subject or topic for a long period of time. Your brain actually needs to go to something else in order to stay focused. So that's why you'll see a lot of artists, they have that same thing where they like to do music, they like to do art, they like to do writing, they like to do, they do it all. And that keeps the brain at a high functional level instead of getting stagnated. So these are things that, like I said, you probably didn't have that type of care if you had those types of families coming up. So that's why it's so important that you identify your history, what type of family. Don't worry about what they say it was. They don't want to be held accountable, okay? That's what you got to remember. These people are hiding under masks and liars. So that's what you're here to break when you're under generational cursing and all of that. And you're breaking your own curses and things that follow you. So don't worry about what they tell you. You guys have to concentrate off of what you observe and trust what you see. Because again, a lot of times this could be the matriarch, patriarch of the family. They're lying. They don't. These people might not. They don't have the character to stand up and be held accountable for their shortcomings. Okay, and so once you know you can't trust people like that, leave these people alone. Okay, because that's going to keep you stunted and in that cycle, in that loop. Don't give them no validation, no approval. They don't deserve it. And they can't be accountable. They can't tell the truth. All they can do is keep lying and trying to spew you as something's wrong with you and all of these lies. These people have no character, so you don't owe them anything. All you owe is to yourself to be the best that you could be. So this is my generational curse part 2 that I'm giving you guys. So remember, understand and learn what you've learned, what you've come up with, and know what you know, and don't doubt that, and adjust and bend the wheel to your specification, not your family that you come from. That's already messed up and dysfunctional. Okay, they're going to be stuck in the mud where they are. You have to concentrate on excelling and being your best self. So that's what you need to work on and worry about, and not worry about necessarily, but that's where you put your focus on you. And family, if you have kids in these situations under these, because you probably married and got with people similar to what you came up with, hey, once they get older, they have to come to you with healthiness and with a right set of respect. You don't bend to them because whoever raising them is probably more dysfunctional or just dysfunctional as what you came up with. So don't expect any support from them whatsoever. You need to leave all negative situations alone. Let them people mature and get to the point where they have understanding and a proper respect for you before you engage with them. Okay? And it just is what it is, because every man's for himself in this situation. You have to excel to where you have to be. You don't owe anybody anything. And trust me, when you get caught in these situations, you can get stuck in these cycles of negativity for years. And it's going to stunt your ability to excel and go to the next level. And you can't afford to have that. Even if your children, and it's difficult with the baby mother or ex-wife, and if they're giving you difficulties and respecting you and dealing with those situations so you can co-parent in a healthy way, leave that situation alone. Do not be held to any generational curse or, oh, my father wasn't there as much, and take on that burden, because it's unnecessary and it still won't do anything, because they're still pumping negativity into those children constantly, consistently, going against you. Anyone who's going against you is against you. So don't go under the illusion that you're changing something. That's not your burden. You made that mistake in getting with that person and having children with them. Just own up to it and move on with your life. But you don't hold yourself back being stagnant by trying to fix something that's broke. You can't do it by yourself, and it's not your responsibility. It's for everyone to learn in a situation, but they have to learn to hold you in a respectful manner and meet you halfway. If that's not the case, you don't go down to that level, because that's just going to, again, bring you back to a repetitive negative cycle, and then you'll get into the shame, blame, guilt, all those negative emotions, drinking. This is how it happens, because you don't know any better. Okay? It's all linked together. It's spiritual too. This is how generational curses, come about, and they spread down to the children. It's because of who you link up with and have children with. You didn't know to get healthy people. How would you know healthy if you ain't have no healthy people raise you? Think about it, family. Understand it, get it, got it, go. You don't need to be held in those situations. You don't owe anyone anything. Who you owe is to yourself, to do what God ordained you to do, and that's to be the best you can be. And you can't expect everyone to understand it. You can't expect everyone to go along with you. The ones that get it, great. The ones that don't, stay where they're at. You put that energy into yourself, but you never pour energy into an empty well. It's useless. Let those results be what they're going to be. You'll ascend and grow, and you can't worry about what you can't control. Ascend a book, good book. Okay? Get it, got it, peace.